No, so that is our European level, and as Joanna Drake mentioned, there are many cities already taking initiative. And so I'd like to welcome Antoinette Goul to the stage. She is the Deputy Mayor of Paris and responsible for social solidarity economy and the circular economy, and they recently released a white paper on the circular economy. Antoinette.
Dear all, it's a real pleasure to me to be here today, and I would like to thank Barcelona and especially the first Deputy Mayor, Mr. Pizzarello, for this great initiative. So, as you know, French people are not very famous to speak very well foreign languages, and as I'm not an exception, I hope you will apologize and apologize for my mistakes, but I'm trying to do it. And I have to read it a little bit, so sorry for that as well. So the question is, why building a circular economy in cities? And if it's pertinent, what sort of circular economy do we have to build? Because circular economy, as well as social innovation, as FAB city policy, as collaborative economy, all these new economies will be as we build them. So they can be inclusive, they can be participative, they can be distributive, they can be deconcentrated, or they can be extractive, concentrative, and excluding. So let's shape these new economies to change city with a political vision, with solidarity and protection of environment. When Anne Hidalgo won the election in April 2014, she decided that Paris will lead a policy which gives sense to economy, a social sense and an environmental sense. So we decided to reinforce social economy and to build a circular economy policy. We have been implementing these strategies for 2.5 years, and they are starting to bear fruits. So why building a circular economy in cities? You have all read, I think, the recent report, Living Planet from WWF. It showed that we cannot wait anymore. We are mostly responsible for the destruction of more than half of animal biodiversity in the planet in only 40 years. And even if the Agreement of Paris is entering into action, I don't speak about United States because that could make me angry this morning, but even its state is gather in Marrakesh for the COP22, we know that we need to urgently address the issue of climate change and more globally of environmental problem. Our ways of producing and consuming need to adapt to this situation and to adapt quickly, which means changing deeply our economic model. In Paris, we believe that it won't be any ecological transition without economic transition. The Club of Rome thought us that circular economy can help reducing up to 70% of our greenhouse gas emission. It can also help stopping the extraction of a lot of natural resources. And I would like to thank Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which is, since the beginning, always on the side of cities when it comes about showing the benefits of its new economy. So while Paris was preparing for welcoming the COP21, I got the mission to develop the circular economy strategy for Paris, beginning by a collective elaboration of this strategy, the convention, the Circular Economy Convention. So the first reason is environmental. The second reason is democratic because of its territoriality, and if it's done in a participative way, it can be one of the answers of democratic issue. So the third point is because it's not delocalizable and demands more focus, it can be also an answer of some very important social issues. So in Paris, more than 200 actors participated in our convention. That was a great moment of participation of citizen, company, big and small companies, startup, cooperative, academic, and students. And this convention gave birth to first 65 proposals published in a white paper of circular economy in Greater Paris. That is our white paper. You know, as circular economy didn't have any Bible, we just decided to write together what are all the action we can do to make this policy. And we are currently installing them in Paris. This strategy is a great part of our smart city plan for Paris. But it's not all. Secondly, the convention also gives birth to a charter of engagement of students, because youth plays a big part of diffusion of new and responsible economies. And thirdly, it gave birth to a pact between collectivities in the greatest Paris, between 25 collectivities, so that we work all together in the same direction. And at last, it gave birth to a call of cities for circular economy in order to pursue our international cooperation. So cities, if you want to take part to this call of city for circular economy, just tell it to me and we will work on it together. So the circular economy strategies in Paris will either 15 new actions we undertake each year. So the first one was a strategy against food waste from the beginning to the end of the food chain. First step, a plan against food waste was adopted in December, aiming at reducing per two the food we throw in our garbage. And believe me, this is particularly difficult for Parisians because we are very great food waster. Second step of this food waste policy is in situ composting in our garden, in our roof, or at home. And the third step is collecting food waste separately and organizing its valorization through composting or methanization. The second action was about reusing goods, and one of the specificities of Paris is to have lost most of its repayment, and we had to develop other network, of course, of repayment, but we call that resourcery, and we launched some troc de trucs, that's French terms, to mean places where goods are repaired, redesigned, sometimes through fab labs, and sold at small prices. And third action, I wanted to mention it, is an ambitious, responsible public procurement policy. Our strategy was adopted in February and gave room to eco-design, to functionality and zero-waste trajectory, 1.6 milliards of euro a year as public requirements can be and has to be a real lever to change the economy of the city. So, of course, as a lot of cities, we involved in a zero-waste strategy because Paris, like I think quite all the big cities, have been very good in collecting and, unfortunately, in incinerating its waste. And now it's a revolution we have to do to prevent, reuse, and revalorize it. So this year we are going to launch 15 new actions, like we are going to create a dedicated incubators, for circular economy, especially dedicated to that. We will focus on construction waste with reemployment of materials, and at last, sustainable consumption, because when we have studied the urban metabolism of Paris, we have seen that food, energy, and construction materials were the three main products which enter into the city, and that's waste, of course, and pollution and emission of GES were the... sorry, I didn't prepare it in English, so... Okay, so we had to work, we know that, on food, principally on food, so we are going to work on sustainable consumption within an European network named Bustino. Maybe some of you are in it. So our circular economy strategy is a great part of smart city strategy for Paris as well. So we have indeed been working on a locally productive, globally connected city. We work also toward making in Paris, which is an approach undertaken last year in a report which identified the emergence of a new industrial revolution characterized by technological change in Paris. So this report raised general awareness of the emergence of a new industrial paradigm. And we also focused on action in favor of in situ production to improve our urban metabolism. So we support the maker movement that empowers people to create a new form of citizenship. And we have launched the Paris Makers Plan, first major step in a closer relationship between city and the maker community, in order to co-construct an action plan able to support growth of this exceptional movement. This movement, which is involved in the small-scale production process. So, we know that this environmental resilience can be not disconnected from social exclusion, and that smart cities have to be inclusive cities. So, when we fight against food waste, we fight for the right to food oneself. When we fight against pollution, we know that the poorest are the most exposed to it and its first victim. So we want to develop employment through this new economy. We want that this new job, because we know that this new job will last until involve everyone, whatever the level of studies and formation. So, to conclude, I must say that we are facing a huge change in the way we are organizing both our economy and our societies. This can bring some disorders, but it can also be a real opportunity to build a more responsible, a more social, and a more environmental world. Paris strongly believes in the capacity of big cities to influence international politics, diplomacy, and economics. So just to finish, I would say that, as Seneca said, there is no favorable wind for the one who doesn't know where he's going. So cities, let's take the direction to an inclusive and circular economy. Thank you.
If you want to stay there for some questions. We have some room for questions, and as you might have seen already please have a seat, has seen passed by, you can vote online, and quite a few have already done it. Yeah, please have a seat. To start us off with, one of the questions that came up so far is, thank you first of all for sharing more on the white paper, and I thought your English was perfectly fine. It was great. The first question that came up was, so how do you bring the needed skills to knowledge and the leaders involved into making something like this happen? Have you given that some thought already?
It took a lot of time, in fact. We spent more than 1 year involving all the actors by writing this white new paper, and some of the services of Paris are here in the room, and they have worked a lot just to gather everyone, to make them involved, to understand what were their own issues, because between big companies' issues and small startup issues, it's not at all the same motivation. So we gather all these actors and stakeholders and make 8 groups of reflection on 8 different themes, like food, like construction, like waste, like inclusion. And then we add, and they write, we didn't write it, we as a city didn't write anything. All the stakeholders write the 65 actions they wanted to propose to the city and to the institution. But it takes a lot of time, because it's not the usual way to make policy. In fact, we didn't say, okay, we know what we have to do and we will do that in this action plan, and then spread it to the actor. We did the contrary. We say, okay, we will be more intelligent if we are 200 than if I am on my own. And whatever the good idea I have of myself, I know that we are more intelligent if we are 200. So we did that. It takes a lot more time than doing usual policy from the top to the bottom, but it's richer, of course, and it's the greatest way to involve people.
So the bottom-up approach, and that's, I suppose, also helping overcome some of the challenges. And just before I'll ask you, there are also mics in the room on the sides. If you'd like to ask a question or do not have access to the app, please feel free to make a sprint towards one of the mics as well. Another question, so on the challenges, because this is quite a very promising, but nonetheless a daunting task. It's something, at least you'll face some challenges, and it's been launched in 2015. What was maybe the biggest challenge that you've come across so far and hopefully overcame?
I speak about food waste, for example. That was one, because it was not in our policy at the beginning of this work, and actors and stakeholders told us, you have to take this problem and to solve it. And then we have done a lot of work this last year about that, and we started now to have some results. And the second one is intern in Paris, intern of Paris. It's about public requirement, which has been a very hard work, because we have to work on each requirement to know how it can be more circular. So I would say about these two cases.
And on that sort of collaboration angles, reaching out to stakeholders, a question that came up from the audience was, in what way does Paris cooperate with the regional government to realize the circular economy? Have there been interactions with the regional or even state government? With the regional government, or even to the federal?
In fact, we didn't decide to do this on our own. At first, we worked with all on the local government next to Paris. So we were 25 different cities in this. It's the greatest Paris with her, and we were 25 cities. We involved regional government, and we also involved state government.
Right.
So we did that at all three levels, and we always ask our European deputy to come and speak with us about this issue in each convention we did.
And is there some intention of the Paris federal level to act on circular economy?
In fact, yes, because when we started this work, it was in 2014, and we had a law in 2015 which include and definites what is circular economy and how it has to work in fiscally and technically option in France.
Well, that's very encouraging. Antoinette Gould, thank you very much.